Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, a man with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome to the district of West Lindsey once again, and you have seen this building before in the previous episode. This is Upton Kexby Village Hall, where I chose to end the Upton video, and it's also where I'm beginning the Kexby video. Welcome to the parish of Kexby. Kexby lies on the edge of the Trent Valley, 4 miles southeast of Gainsborough and 11 miles northwest of Lincoln, bounded by 5 other West Lindsey parishes. Situated between the villages of Upton and Kexby is a shared village hall. Both parish councils take responsibility for the Upton and Kexby burial ground as well, although this is located in Upton. Kexby enjoys close ties with Upton. Together they form the ecclesiastical parish of Upton Kexby, but both villages have their own parish council, and both villages share a play area as well. As the two villages virtually merge together, these amenities are within walking distance of both. There's an iron beacon here, which overlooks the play area too. Upton and Kexby also share the use of this large playing field, which has football pitches and a cricket club. The Mary Hall Pavilion next, which is the home of the Upton Kexby Cricket Club. Kexby locals, who was Mary Hall? Here's a bench to a local community hero, Penny Dunderdale, who was awarded an MBE. As the leader of the Scouts in Willingham for 34 years, we'll talk more about her next week. Do you know, it's blooming marvellous. If you watched my Upton video last week, you'll know that at the end the rain started to lash it down. That's why I've got my raincoat on now. It's not 5 minutes later than when that shot was filmed, and now I can see blue sky again and the rain has stopped. Fantastic. I'm hoping that I can take this off again later, because I've still got one more village to do today, and I really don't want to be walking around wearing this coat. It's a nice coat, don't get me wrong, it's just it's very heavy and I often get quite warm in it, so if the sun comes out I'm going to be baking. Right, we're heading across the playing field because there's a footpath somewhere down here that will take us towards some of Kexby's housing. A footpath now, one of many in Kexby, takes us away from the greenery of the playing field towards the high street. The average house in Kexby has a current value of £251,000. Kexby was recorded as a settlement in the Doomsday Book in 1086 under the name of Cheftesbi or Chestesbi, having 21 houses, making it a large settlement at that time. In 1894, the government passed an act concerning parishes, creating 14,000 new ones. It's safe to assume at this time Kexby became independent from Upton. The population of Kexby has changed very little since the 1800s. The 2011 census recorded 340 inhabitants and 140 properties. The big change has been in the size of families, represented by 2.4 people per dwelling, compared to the 1870s, where 272 people in 61 houses represented 4.4 people per dwelling. Here's the parish notice board located here outside number 5 High Street. A lot of houses in both Kexby and Upton are built with an attractive local brick, mentioned in the Upton episode. there was once a thriving brickmaking business that once existed in the village. There's also a small village green in the centre of Kexby, and in 2019 local residents carried out a refurbishment and relocation of the old red telephone box from the outskirts of the village to this site of prominence. The phone box is both a book exchange and an information point, and inside I found something very interesting. It's amazing what you find in these book exchanges sometimes. Here's Kexby Parish newsletter for autumn 2021, and look at this image on the front. That is Kexby well dressing from 1993. That's actually amazing, because I thought well dressing was a Derbyshire custom. We've certainly seen that in a few Derbyshire places, haven't we? But I never knew it was a thing in Lincolnshire as well, and that's saying something coming from a Lincolnshire boy. So yeah, that's something new for me. It's an interesting little leaflet, this, as well. I'm going to take a few shots of this because there may well be some information in here that's useful for this video. So out comes the phone camera, and also while I'm in here there's an old photo, and I'm assuming that is where we're stood. It's not very clear. Maybe some of you Kexby locals out there can tell me if this is just out here, because it does certainly seem to be. That looks like a shop to me. I've never known Kexby have a shop ever. So there you go. I'm finding things out that not even I knew, and I'm a local boy. The old village well remains on the village green, which served the village with drinking water before the installation of a piped water supply. It also supplied water to cattle yards in the village through an ingenious weir system. Now preserved, the well, which is spring-fed, has never been known to run dry, even during the most severe droughts. Some historians are of the opinion that Danes, the first inhabitants of Kexby, were able to navigate their boats along the Till to a mooring pool near the settlement. A quick glance down Glentworth Road now, complete with some nice ornaments under the road sign. The parish boundaries have not changed in Kexby since the 19th century. It forms a long horizontal shape stretching from Heaton's Wood in the east to Kexby Grange in the west. Now to take a footpath across some of Kexby's farmland. Don't worry, this isn't trespassing, as it's a well-maintained footpath around the edge of a field. This path goes across some farmland, but farming is now not much of a profession in the village. The census report of 2011 highlights a shift in occupation for many residents. The most popular form of employment for Kexby now is in the professional trade, 17% of the village's population. Managers, directors, senior officials and people in the skilled trade sector make up the majority of the population. Only 15 residents of Kexby now work in elementary occupations, such as farming. The footpath brings us to the foot of what is known locally as Willingham Hill to the left, but we're heading to the right along the B1241. As we reach Kexby Corner, there's a large sign here showing us how far away we are from the nearest villages and landmarks. Buses between Gainsborough and Lincoln stop at Kexby Corner bus stop roughly every hour. The nearest railway station is at Gainsborough Lee Road, which can be found 3 miles northwest of the village on the Gainsborough to Lincoln line. So I'm just having a perch here in the bus shelter for a few moments before I get going again. All I've really got to do here in Kexby now is walk back up the main road towards Upton to pick up the car, which is parked outside the village hall, and that means that you guys are owed a picture bit for this video. Here it comes. As this is such a small village, I don't have much for today's picture bit. Here's an old map I found of Kexby in 1885, and as you can see, not much has altered. Here's Kexby Primitive Methodist Chapel, which dated from 1848. It closed down in 1933, immediately after the Methodist Union, and was sold in 1934, but now it's being demolished. Here's the Victorian Kexby House, set within extensive mature gardens and paddocks with views over the open Lincolnshire countryside. The gardens are open to the public from April to October. All that's left to do now is walk back along Upton Road with a quick look down Westgate on the way. As Westgate is just a few terraced cottages leading back towards the high street, here's some final information about the village. Kexby itself does not contain any schools, however there are primary schools located in the nearby villages of Marton, Lee and Sturton-by-Stow, all around 5 miles away. And after primary education, the pupils of Kexby can attend such schools as QEHS in Gainsborough. There were actually 3 Methodist chapels in the village. One we've already spoken about, and that was on Glentworth Road, but there were 2 others on the High Street, both dating from 1857 and 1892. And on the education theme, Kexby also had a school built in 1853, and it was enlarged in 1895. It's now the small house that you'll find next to the village hall. Finally, we passed the site of a large tower mill. This was Britannia Mill, built in 1856, and it was worked by wind until the late 1930s. After then it was power driven, and the cap remained with a fantail until it was demolished in 1972. And there we are back at the village hall where we began in Kexby. What a lovely little village this place is, and a lot of it is very, very rural, as you've seen. A lot that I didn't know, I must admit, even for a local boy, and I hope you've enjoyed this one. West Lindsey keeps going. I've still got one more village to do today, and I'm about to go to it right now. But for now, this has been the parish of Kexby, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I am out.